Chairman, the Secretary of State, and right honourable members for giving me the opportunity to come and present my case to this committee, even though I'm not a member of it. I want to echo, if I can, the opinions of my honourable friend and colleague for Upper Bann and reiterate those points. This is a matter, members will know this is a matter I very much have strong views on, personal views, views of my constituents who have asked me to come and voice those opinions here in this committee today. So I first of all just want to say very respectively to the Secretary of State, who I have a very good relationship with, and he knows that, and I just want to put on record that these new regulations take sweeping powers of direction to take actions to implement paragraphs 85 and 86 of the CEDAW report. There has been no consultation with those who are opposed to this matter on these regulations. The accompanying explanatory memorandum states that there was consultation prior to the abortion regulations in 2019, suggesting that that should suffice. I would say respectively, Mr. Chairman, that it doesn't. The consultation, however, was censored by the Second Legislation Scrutiny Committee for being far too short, and 79% of submissions opposed the proposals. Again, the stats are very clear. Moreover, it did not suggest that the Secretary of State would be taking these powers within 18 months of the consultation, powers that go beyond abortion into other areas, including education, which is also a devolved matter, and health more broadly conceived. As I'm sure other committee members are aware, the Secretary of State is able to make a direction to ministers and Northern Ireland departments on the Northern Ireland Act 1998 in a limited number of situations, including the need to meet some international obligations. It was argued by many that the Secretary of State needed to agree to the proposed Section 9 because it was required to meet international obligations. Now, I believe it is clear that these arguments were false. The Government cannot give a direction under the Northern Ireland Act because the CEDAW recommendations are, in the words of the explanatory memorandum to these new regulations, and I quote, not binding nor constitute international obligations. Mr. Chairman, I made this argument last June, so in one sense I'm pleased to see the Government now agree with me on this matter. I am, however, distressed to note that immediately after the vote on the 2nd of June 2020, in which the Assembly rejected the 2020 regulations, and expressly rejected an amendment to limit that rejection to the provision of abortion on the basis of disability, the Secretary of State dismissed the vote when asked by the BBC on the 4th of June because of the overruling nature of our Convention obligations. Specifically, he said, of the regulations they must, and I quote, comply with the UN Convention. The CEDAW Convention does not even mention the word abortion, let alone define a right to it. It is hard to overstate the anger felt in Northern Ireland when the Government misconstrues arguments in an attempt to empty votes of the Northern Ireland Assembly by meaning to get its way. The powers of direction that the Secretary of State has now taken to himself are similar to the Section 26 powers, but cannot be justified by that precedent because they extend far beyond it. And crucially, they allow directions to go not merely to executive ministers, but beyond the executive ministers directly to organisations like health authorities. Moreover, the scope of the directions also extends beyond the 2020 abortion regulations to other devolved matters like sex education. I know the Minister does not to respond to me because I'm just asked to address this committee, but maybe in the response to those members who will make the decision in the votes perhaps, he could explain what precedent there is for such wide-ranging direction. How on earth can the Assembly departments plan budgets if they don't know when a directive might be issued impacting health, education, the role of women and what it might say? The potential for this is great. How many plans might have to be abandoned because the arrival of an uninvited direction requiring the redirection of funds from elsewhere? This would constitute an intolerable precedent for any involved government and is deeply humiliating, not only for Northern Ireland but also for the people of Northern Ireland. On top of all this, and not surprisingly given the constitutionally flawed foundation upon which they rest, the regulations are in any event dysfunctional because they come without a credible enforcement mechanism. The only way of enforcing the law is for the Secretary of State to initiate a judicial review, which is, in my view, absurd. Mr. Chairman, the experiment which Section 9 since July 2019 provides a powerful object lesson, and while embarking on an attempt to unpick an aspect of devolution, it's as critical as that, invites the creation of a dangerous constitutional mess. The truth is that Section 9 must be understood in terms of the Act in which it is located, whose purpose was focused on the restoration of the Executive, and we now have that in place. The Executive has been restored. I would therefore call on the Government to withdraw these regulations, propose instead the repeal of Section 9. And I will end with this, Mr. Chairman. by reminding the committee of the words of the City of State at that time in 2018. Abortion has been a devolved matter in Northern Ireland since it was created in 1921, and it would not be appropriate for Westminster to seek to impose its will or to be the arbitrator of an issue that has long been devolved to the people of Northern Ireland. The Government believe that the question of any future reform in Northern Ireland must be debated and decided by the people of Northern Ireland and their locally elected and therefore accountable politicians, the elected MLAs at the Northern Ireland Assembly. The regulations before us today adopt the exact opposite position. The 2020 regulations do not require that services have to be commissioned, and whether they should be or how that should be done is a matter for the Northern Ireland Executive, and with great respect, not for the Secretary of State or for the Minister of State. And I want to reiterate that I speak for all those unborn babies that haven't had the chance to enjoy real life, because I believe the opportunity should be there for them. Their rights have to be reinforced. So again, I would respectively call on all honourable and right honourable members to reject these regulations. Mr. Chairman.